Hey y'all, let's do hot takes for Gather Workspace. This is Richmond or Virginia's premier co-working spot. Let's take a look at the website and see if there's any opportunity to improve. So here it is. I decided to work in mobile mode for this review, and then I've changed my mind. So let me go into that right away. This is not a mobile browser. This is Google Chrome emulating a mobile browser. And you can see that it's not, it's clearly not, designed for mobile. And so my thought was, well, again, it's not a real phone. And so maybe that's just an issue. But I did go on my phone and I did see similar kind of page width issues on an actual device. And so that's the first thing I'll throw out right there is some amount of work on the design side to optimize this for mobile. And by optimized, I really just mean make sure the layout fits the width, make sure that all the text is big enough to read on mobile, make sure the buttons are clickable and visible on mobile. Just that. It's nothing too fancy, right? You want to avoid text going off the screen. You want to avoid text disappearing inside the dropdown. And this video, for example, not fitting. Really just that. And the priority of that, I guess, depends on traffic. How many people visit this on mobile? It maybe not many, and maybe most of actual conversions from this website come in through desktop. But I would still say this is something that needs to be done because sooner or later, as you grow, you'll want to have the opportunity to send people through your mobile website and get conversions from it. Even if it's not a key source of conversions right now, you want to be able to throw out, some Instagram stuff and direct people back to the site and have that lead to appointments, which is the primary call to action on the site. And that's a reasonable like do it from your phone level of conversion, right? It's not a $10,000 purchase or something. It doesn't require a bunch of people being in on the decision either. So, let's be ambitious and say that we can get mobile conversions and we can get more if we make some adjustments to the layout. And this is just the home page I'm looking at. So this might be the only spot that needs any attention. Anyway, for clarity, I'm going to switch to the desktop site for the rest of this little review. So here we go. Teams thrive here. This is a co-working space. I want to throw out that before the pandemic, had a membership at a co-working space, and I remember a lot went into the decision to join. A lot. It's kind of wild how complicated it was. And that's just me. I don't know about Gather's particular customers and what they're looking for. So, what do I really know here? But for perspective on the buying decision, I was thinking about location, I was thinking about cost, I was thinking about flexibility, I was thinking about how much does the coffee cost? All of these factors rolled up into me finally pulling the trigger on a membership. And in particular, I ended up going with a location that was 45 minutes away from where I lived. It was a 45-minute train ride to get there. I probably passed by a dozen other co-working spots on the way, and including one that was within walking distance of where I lived. So it's about more than just convenience or price, although I also went with one that was really low priced too. So this is a complex decision, and I suppose to some degree, this is a beautiful space. Look at this image, right? I would not touch anything about this photography. So I suspect that the quicker we can get people in the door, the more people will sign up because there's so much that goes into it and because there's an ambiance that you can't really get from the internet, no matter how hard you try. I think that the job of the website is to answer as many potential blocker questions as possible, as directly and clearly as possible, but really just urge people like, hey, come check it out and emphasize the flexibility of the different plans, kind of encourage people to delay that decision, maybe. Come see it and we'll talk you through the plans because the plans, as we'll see, are not super simple. And I think that's a factor for all co working businesses. So, not judging, just hypothesizing about how much information and what information are we trying to convey on the website. So, that's kind of how I'm coming at it. Now, let's look at what we got. Okay, so the first thing, very, very relevant. People clearly want to know what's going on with COVID-19. This has got to be a really rough time to own commercial real estate, period, especially a space like this right now. So I think this definitely deserves the prominent real estate it's gotten on the page. But I would throw out that it should, instead of covering up the banner up top, it should displace the banner. So that's another maybe CSS tweak for whoever owns the website. I would suggest that this, and really any promotional banner that we use on the site, should just go along the top with the regular banner here, right? below it so that you can see both. And so I'm going to skip this. I'm going to dismiss this and see what I'm talking about. This, I want to be able to see this at all times. And that's because one of the first things I noticed when I get here is, okay, take a tour. Okay. That's what I can do here. I can set up a tour of this place. I'm not going to reserve my space and pay money while I'm on this site, or at least it doesn't look like it. It doesn't seem like they want me to. So I've kind of ingested that already. Okay, they're trying to get me to take a tour. So now the question is just, yeah, do I want to take a tour, right? I need the information that would help me make that decision. And this is prominent and yep, and it's sticky on scroll. So I think it's safe to assume that the average visitor will see this. They'll maybe scroll down to see this. And well, we'll get to more CTAs in a minute, but I think it's pretty clear that that is the action you can take. And so I don't want to cover it up with anything. So with that visible, now we kind of come to the copy, the offer. What is this all about? And so teams thrive here. This gets into one of the biggest questions I had, and I don't know the answer, but someone does. And that's the question of who drives the most revenue for this particular chain of co-working spaces. Is it mainly about closing deals with companies that have teams that they want to bring in and bring space to? And if so, what kinds of companies, what sizes of companies? If that's what most of the revenue comes from, then if anything, we want to cater even more to that and think, okay, in the mindset of the CEO or founder who's got a staff of, I don't know, 5 or 15 or 50 employees in the area, what are the concerns that they have about making a big decision like this? It is a pretty big decision if that's your role. Compared with me, a consultant, business of one, when I signed up for a co-working space, I literally just paid for the first month and there was almost no risk to me at all. So the question is, who is this mostly for? And so I've already spent a minute on the site and I want to point out down here, we have kind of an answer or kind of a non-answer to that question, right? From startups to small business to enterprise teams and entrepreneurs. So that's everybody, right? And I get that it can work for everybody. And so the question for me is in terms of prioritizing the content on the website, who do we mostly want? Who do we mostly get revenue from right now? Who's the basis for our business? And if one of these dominates the others, if it's almost all solopreneurs like myself, and that's 2/3 of revenue across all the locations, then I want to reword this, and I don't want to say teams. I want to work out. I want to emphasize the networking possibilities and the comfort and convenience of the location, and maybe even not maybe in the heading, but just a little further down, this idea that you could work from home, but you get this nice break when you change scenery, and there's an energy and an action to a place like this that makes you more productive. That I would say as a tentative value proposition for someone like me, like that works on me. I want to meet people, I want to meet diverse people, and I want a place to break away from home. But if I am an enterprise team, and so I'm in charge of this team and I have a budget, then my concerns are going to be very different. And Teams Thrive here is a good start, but I'd want to jump right into talking about, we do have the capacity, we can offer the compliance that you need with your network connections. I don't know what those concerns are, but if that's where most of my business comes from, I want to go find out and I want to put it right here, blam, splat, right on the homepage hero. So this is fine, but it makes me wonder just about, can we get more specific and more targeted, and can we inspire or at the very least address a big concern right away, right? I've landed here and none of my concerns are necessarily addressed. So let me try to list those concerns. Pricing, right? How much is this going to cost? Can I afford it? What do I get for the pricing? Does it include beverages or not? That can actually be a pretty big difference in how much you spend over the course of the month. So the options and the pricing and the details of what's included, the plans, in a sense, on my first pass, I'm just trying to stack this up against a couple other options and just be like, okay, is in my price range at all? And do I see anything along the way that appeals to me? So that's one of my main concerns. Then location is another concern. As I said, I chose a location not because of convenience, but because of diversity and the energy in the area, and it's where I wanted to be. So the sooner you can let me know where these locations are, the better as well. Or the easier you can make it for me to find out where these locations are at the moment that I decide, okay, I care about that now, the better. And I think that's handled pretty well, right? We have a locations drop down. And so I'm not a Virginia resident, but I'd imagine if you're anywhere near any of these places, all this means something to you. And it means more than just geo, right? It also means the neighborhood, the community, possibly like parking or public transit access, all these things. So this is actually a whole lot of information packed into a tiny little drop down menu. So this is great, right? I know how many locations, I know where they are roughly. That helps me move forward. I can probably see one and think, ooh, arts district. That would be cool. What if I had an office in the arts district and I can follow that down. In fact, I think I will. The one thing I want to raise right here is the question whether I'm solopreneur or trying to find space for my team. I have the question of flexibility. If do I have to choose one location? Do I have a membership just to that location? Or does one membership let me work anywhere? What if I have teams in different locations? Or sorry, team members in different locations? And is there some in between perhaps, right? Like how hard is this going to be? If I've got half my team works in this area and then half the team works in this area, can I just do one thing? Or if I live here but would actually like to commute to Arts District twice a week, can I do that or not? So I'm not sure the best way to convey that because I literally don't know the answer yet, but it is a concern. It is a question, I think, on somebody's mind when they're trying to make a decision on that. So let's say that I love Arts District. It's not where I live, but it's close enough, and I see myself working in Arts District. And let's just say it's me, solopreneur. Okay, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love the visuals here. So yeah, I guess okay. So I guess the photo from the first page was Arts District, and these are all Arts District, I assume. So, okay. I might like a way to control this, but I'm not going to go off on the carousel. It's not on the home page. It's okay. I guess it stops moving when I mouse over it. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful space. I love it. So let's see what I can do here. Okay. We've got community managers. This is a lot of text. I bet nobody reads this text. I'm not going to read it. Pricing. Okay, boom. So this is a very compact page that has a lot of information. Once you have chosen a location, you can literally pick a time for a tour. I want to point out a minor point of confusion where this button says take a 3D tour, which I might try in a minute. But this area, this section of the page seems to be about scheduling a real tour. Yeah, in-person tour. So I think that's a little confusing. And when you couple it with this form over here, which is a get in touch, I think that it's kind of hard to know what I'm meant to do here. And assuming, based on my assumption that take a tour is the most important action people can take, I want to say that the 3D tour gets moved somewhere else, maybe further down the page. Without knowing anything else, I would move it further down the page. I'll talk a bit more about how we might make that decision in a second. And then this get in touch form, I am almost inclined just to hide entirely. And maybe the footer has a contact us, and you can have the generic contact form on this contact us page, but make this page and all of the location specific pages just literally about the scheduling of an in-person tour. And if you do that, if you move this out and if you move this button away, then we've really got this beautiful image, and what's peeking out beneath is, hey, book a tour. And so that gives us some room to talk a little bit about why it's a good idea to book a tour, beyond all the benefits of co-working in general or co-working at Gather in specific. Like, what about this tour? What's going to happen at this tour? And so maybe that information is in here, but I would try to pull it out into a couple of bullet points or a headline and a subheadline and a couple bullet points. What happens in the tour, right? What do I get from this tour? And it might sound silly, but if you can paint a picture like it's, hey, you're going to come check out the vibe. We're going to make you a coffee drink on the house, and you'll get to see the place, and we'll answer all your questions, right? Just setting expectations for what happens if I do convert. That's the kind of thing I have in mind. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy, but help me paint a picture of me taking this tour and being glad that I did. So I would clean this page up a good bit, and I'm assuming other locations have the same structure, so that suggestion applies to all of them. Let's really focus on this calendar, which like this is great functionality. This makes it so easy. And to me anyway, just with a little beefing up of this copy, removing this button to make it slightly clear that hey, like book a tour, come take a tour. Once that's clear, this is great. This is a great visual that says, hey, here's what you can do here. It's literally as easy as picking a time. Let's go. So I like this a lot. I think this is solid. I just want to make it more prominent. So back to the 3D tour. And I actually had this same question about going back to the homepage about the video. I personally don't usually watch a video when I visit a website, but that is just me. And everybody's product, everybody's audience is different. And so, what I would suggest for both of these elements is that the easiest thing I can think of to do is just leave them where they are. And if you have something like Google Tag Manager, or if you can drop custom code on the page and you're using Google Analytics, then you just add an event for video plays. And similarly, we'll add an event for 3D tours, or that might even actually be a page view. Maybe we're already tracking this. The thing I want to get to is we're able to look back on maybe the last 3 months of appointments booked. And we're able to say, okay, out of all these people that booked appointments, what percentage of them watched the video? And how does that compare to the percentage of video watchers in the non-appointment booking audience, right? Just what's the difference look like between those two groups, between the people who booked and the people who didn't? Same question for the 3D tour, right? Out of all the people that actually booked a tour, how many clicked the 3D tour while they were on the website versus everybody else? And from that answer, I don't have a hard and fast rule, but I think it becomes apparent if it's very stark and you say, wow, almost everybody that booked a tour watch the video first. That's amazing. Well, if you learned that, then we probably want, if anything, to make this video more prominent. We might try moving it up. We might try repeating it throughout the site. We want to get more people to watch that video because we're hoping that there's an actual causal relationship between those two behaviors, between watching and between booking a tour. Same question again with there it is, 3D tour. If we see, wow, all these people that actually came in and actually signed up, they all took the 3D tour. We want to make this way more prominent than it is, right? And maybe we want to put it on the homepage somehow. Like you can book a 3D tour straight from the homepage, pick your location to see a 3D tour. That in this scenario where it's so closely linked to conversion, that's the kind of thing that would be worth trying. Or giving it this sub hero real estate and moving the calendar appointment setting down, or putting it up into the hero. If we found out it's really valuable, we would do that. The other possible outcome is we look at these numbers and we're like, well, hardly anybody watches the video. Hardly anybody books a 3D tour, whether they convert it or not. It's just not popular. If that's the case, then if anything, we move it down maybe. We take the homepage video and we put it further to the bottom of the page. We take the 3D tour and we move this down to the bottom for people that have, just can't make up their minds, or we offer it as a little pop-up if they return to the page, but less immediately prominent, lower priority for our visitors. So I just now noticed this. Okay, this is cool. Indoor bike racks. Okay, so cold brew, does this mean that the cold brew is free and included with my membership? Like I might be the only cheap individual on earth who actually cares about that, but you'll spend a lot of money on coffee if you work outside of the house. So okay, cookie hour, yeah. So these are good. I'm wondering about the presentation and the prioritization, right? If I had access to the next 100 people who sign up for a membership at this particular location, I would just want to get from them very casually, just, observe what they make use of, and I would want to ask them what they appreciate. Like, hey, I see you out here on the rooftop deck all the time. Was that part of why you decided to come here? And just talk to them, right? This is not quantitative data. What I want to get is a sense of what matters to people, and crucially, what matters to people before they've actually come in to take the tour. And can I make that a little more prominent? Do a lot of people ride bikes to this location? And is bike theft rampant in this area? That could be really important. Or again, you got cheap people like me who want to know if they get free coffee. I mean, put it up top if that describes a lot of actual customers, if that's on their minds, if they actually care about that. I have no idea what you care about. I got to say, this podcast booth is super sweet. I wish my last place had had that. But again, it just depends. Does one person use that? Do 80% of people use that? I don't know. But some informal conversational data gathering could lead us to the point where we take these and we can keep them all here, but we want to probably drag a couple up higher on the page and call them out and be like, yeah, Arts District, here's what's great about it. So the other thing I want to call out is we have this map, and I do think I saw a map somewhere else on the site, but This is a question I have, and I'm not sure what the best presentation is, but I want to say on the home page, again, need to pick your location. The drop down is helpful if you know the neighborhoods, but I don't know. I don't know how helpful, right? Where in Newport News? And do I care? I might care. So I think if I choose a location here, let's do another one. Let's do Newport News. Let's see. Okay. Quick, tiny UX tweak. If it's just a one selection dropdown, it should be okay as soon as I select that to take me to the page rather than making me click go. And that's not like it's costing thousands of dollars a day to have that, but it's a minor like removal of friction that I would go ahead and just put in the backlog for whoever owns the site, if that's possible. Okay, so here we are. Okay, this is interesting. So I clicked Newport News location, or that's what I meant to do, and it says conference rooms here. And so now I kind of feel lost, right? Like, did I go to the wrong place? So I would say okay, the structure of this page, it's mostly the same as the other one. Okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, I think this up here, I am going to attack the carousel here, and I will say that this needs to reflect where I am on the site somehow, so I don't feel lost. And so just like the one for Arts District said Arts District, I think, didn't it? I think this one should say Newport News. And so I'm not super slick with design stuff, and so I'm not going to attempt to write a spec on the fly for how to reform this hero section. But I want to say just making the heading permanent and static so that it just says Newport News. And then if there's a little call out down here that says meeting space, and then when you go to the next one, it says co-working, I guess, which is, I don't know if co-working really adds value to this image. So do you even need that? Or do you just want the visuals? Anyway, I got lost. I'm probably not the only person who's done that click and been like, wait, what? So I would fix that. Same apply to all of these. Okay. And so I guess this is the map. I thought I'd seen a map with all the locations. That is what I was trying to get at, and I think that's kind of my final point here is somewhere maybe on the homepage. Again, since the funnel, the almost funnel seems to be start from the homepage, pick a location, book a tour. The easier we can get people to the location, the better. So if there's some sort of visual way to present, I mean, it doesn't have to be this high up, but present, yeah, a map on the homepage that is clickable, that will link me back to the individual location pages. That seems like something I would expect to see people use. I'd be surprised if they didn't. That is kind of a technical request. And at the same time, since we do have a map of some sort, where did I see? Okay, I think I saw the map on the pricing page. Yeah. Okay. So we actually already have this element on the site. And so that's why I usually don't go throwing out to people, hey, rebuild your website because that stuff is expensive and hard and you don't know if it's worth the money. But in this case, because the map's already an element on the site, I would say some rendition of this map on the homepage that, boom, yeah, just like that. Take me to the location page. And then that, along with some of the tweaks on the location page to make the conversion clearer, remove a little bit of friction, that's my outsider's view on this site. So I hope that was interesting to somebody. If you want more hot takes, then just hit me with a reply and a URL for a site you'd like me to take a look at, and I'd be happy to do it. Thanks.